All right, guys, welcome back to the Injuries 101 podcast. We're going to talk about sit or start for the running backs for week one. Super excited. NFL is finally back. I feel like it's been gone forever. I've been happy with my Red Sox winning and doing well, but at the same time, I want my Patriots to ready to rock and roll, and I'm ready to start winning some money in DFS. So, who is on the slate this week? I'll tell you who I like, who I don't like, and why I like them and why I don't like them. So for week one, this is predominantly for main slate. This will be predominantly for Draftkings, who I play mostly on. So the pricing is for them. For David Johnson, I like him in his matchup versus Washington. He's obviously a very pricey at 8,800, but I think he's at least the top 2 or 3 back this week. He's the ultimate double threat. For Alvin Kamara is also a good option versus Tampa Bay. He's at 8,500. The question is, can he handle the workload? Is he going to get targets out of the backfield with a ton of kind of PPR points, which would be fantastic from Breeze. He could be a good stack with Breeze or a good stack with Thomas, who, kind of something to consider. Zeke at Carolina at 7,700. I know the O-line's banged up, but this guy is something else. I think he rocks and rolls, and I think he's ends up a top 2 or 3 running back at the end of the week when it's all said and done. Leonard Fournette, the kid could be the number 1 running back this year if he can stay healthy. That's my biggest concern with him. Decent matchup versus the Giants at 7,100. You play him when he's healthy. He's healthy. The offense runs through him. Bortles will guide him and kind of relieve some pressure, hopefully, by hitting Dede and Cole and maybe Safarian Jenkins. But I expect Fournette to rock and roll. So Melvin Gordon, another volume back. He's facing Kansas City. He's 6,800. I'm a little down on Kansas City's defense, at least at the start of the year. And I expect Gordon to get a decent amount, and I expect the Chargers to win pretty easily here. CMC, Christian McCaffrey versus Dallas at 6,400. This could be his breakout party. Is he a true 3-down back? At least they treated him that way in preseason, so we'll see. How much will C.J. Anderson play a role? I mean, remember, he did have over 1,000 yards last year in Denver, so he's no scrub. But we'll see how much CMC can load, if he's going to get tons of passes out from Cam, and we'll kind of go from there. So definitely a sneaky option here at 6,400. Joe Mixon, kind of similar to CMC with a second-year back. He's playing at Indy, 6,100, and he's considered a feature back at this point. We'll see what kind of makes of it. Is a little less information about him because he wasn't used quite as much from what I recall in the preseason as CMC was. Okay, some more flex options, or if you're paying down at running back, we got Dion Lewis for the Titans at Miami at 4,900. He's kind of a sneaky flex play. If he gets 4 or 5, 6 passes, maybe sneaks into the end zone, easily pay himself off. Chris Thompson, more of the same. Fantastic last year as kind of a flex play. He's at Arizona, 4,700. Kind of complement Adrian Peterson, who may be on his last legs, but we'll see. I'll talk about him in a minute. James Conner, who is the backup for Le'Veon Bell. If Le'Veon Bell decides not to show up, either way, I don't think Le'Veon Bell will do much in week one if he does play. Just I think the timing of the situation is awful. And if you get a fantastic matchup with Cleveland at 4,500 for your lead back, something to consider. Royce Freeman, who is my pick for Rookie of the Year. Let's rock on. I'm starting him in all my leagues. He's playing Seattle. He's at 4,500. Tons of upside. He's already got starting the game. I think he's going to burst. He'll break one. He could easily 4 or 5x in week one. Chris Carson playing Denver. I expect them to be down. Russell Wilson will need somebody to kind of dump off to relieve some of the pressure from, the people, Von Miller trying to take his head off. And he could be a nice, option for a flex play. Burkhead for my Patriots, playing Houston at 4,200. I mean, this guy is sneaky. He's healthy. He's ready to rock and roll. I think he will. I think he's going to get plenty of rushes out of the backfield. I think he'll probably score a touchdown, whether it's rushing or catching. And I just think he's a fantastic play at 4,200. I mean, he doesn't really need much to even, pay himself off. Never mind double, triple, or quadruple his salary point-wise. So James White, more of the same. I think James White will probably listed out as a wide receiver for a lot of this game, almost like a scat back, and because they're obviously running out of guys to catch the ball to start the season. I mean, he has kind of tons of upside, no Michelle there, so I mean, he's only 4K. I mean, that's legit. Jordan Wilkins could be the starting running back for the Indianapolis Colts because Marlon Mack is banged up with a hammy. He's only at 3,700. He's likely to split carries with Hines, but from what we've seen, Wilkins looks better than Hines so far. Decent flex option at 3,700. And finally, my last recommended start for DFS for Week 1 is Alfred Morse at 3,600 versus the Vikings. He is obviously mispriced because of the McKinnon injury, and the pricing, I believe, was already released before that. Alf can potentially score you, 10, 15, 20 points and your flex spot at 3,600, which is fantastic. Minimum of 3x, I think, as long as he stays healthy. And he will likely be featured, even though he doesn't know the playbook as well as Breida does. And I think they'll need to use him to keep the Vikings offense off the field. And I think that I expect that to be kind of a shootout, but I think it'll go Minnesota's way. So who am I fading? I'm fading Le'Veon Bell because A, his price is 9,400, which is insane, and B, he's not even signed yet. He's not even here, and we're 5 days away or whatever from the game, 6 days. So I don't want anything to do with him. Last year, he only had 14 carries in the first game, and it definitely disappointed. If you're in season long, you kind of have to start him if he's playing in Week 1, and that's the end of it. Saquon Barkley versus Jacksonville. I love this kid. I think he's got loads of potential. He's at 6,700, but I'm just concerned about impressive defense, and I need to make sure that hamstring is okay. I need to see how Cook runs after coming back from his ACL reconstruction surgery, so I am avoiding him at least in Week 1 for the Vikings. I am avoiding the Bills' offense altogether, so I don't want Shady McCoy. As far as the Dolphins, I'm not sure what the split's going to be between Drake and veteran Gore, so I'm fading him. As far as Alex Collins, he could have a decent day, but I don't want anything to do really with the Baltimore offense today, at least in DFS. I think the Titans split is going to be interesting between Henry and Dion Lewis, so I think Lewis has the better play for Week 1. As far as Lamar Miller, I'm just low on him this year. I know he's really the only back there, and Donta Foreman is pretty much done for at least most of the season, or at least half the season with his Achilles, but volume or not, I don't like him versus the Patriots. And then Adrian Peterson, I think his best days are behind him. He could surprise us, but the numbers showed us last year he didn't have much left. But maybe he surprises us. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion, though. So do me a favor. This will end the running back discussion for Week 1. Hit subscribe. Turn on the bell. If you haven't listened to the quarterbacks one or the wide receivers, tight ends, check those out. If you're listening on podcast, do me a favor and subscribe to that, and let other people know where they can get my thoughts and information. Send me a message or a tweet at Dr. Jesse Morse, or my website, www.drjessemorse.com, and check out the Fantasy Doctors as well. Take care. We'll see you next week.